everyone, welcome back to a new video on my channel. It's been a while since I've posted any kind of content other than just like dumping releases and things on my channel, so this is like a little experiment because I want to share my experience about the Roland W30 sampler keyboard workstation, which was made in 1989. Now this video is not intended on being a complete how-to of how to use this from scratch. I could do that, and maybe I will at a later date, but for this moment in time I want to purely focus on my personal experience, why I own it, and some of the modifications that I've made to it. You should be able to see from this camera. Hello. Yeah, I think it's on. You should be able to see, and then what I'll do is I'll grab this camera and I'll take a few close-ups in a minute from, you know, looking right over the screen. So the reason why I got this in the first place was because, like a lot of people in the early 90s, I was blessed with listening to the likes of the early Prodigy tunes by the wonderful genius Liam Howlett and many other artists back in the day who were using these old school samplers for that 12-bit raw, gritty rawness, that sound that everybody likes. Yeah, I got this a few years ago, and you know, I've done a few projects with it. I've actually got two that work, and I've got one for spares, but this one is my main favourite at the moment. This W30, yeah, it was made in 1989, and it's a 12-bit sampler, and it will sample in 30 kilohertz at 7.2 seconds, or it will sample in 15 kilohertz for 14.4 seconds. It doesn't sound like a lot, but you know, if you're creative with how you use it, I mean, you know, for Christ's sake, you know, if Liam Howlett could use it back in the day, you know, then, you know, it tells you everything you need to know, doesn't it? So the trouble is with these old girls is the floppy drives. You know, they, you know, you can service them, and you know, they can be like brand new inside, but the floppy disks, they lose their magnetic flexibility, their storage. You know, just like a tape over time, and they degrade, so they become unreliable. So what I've done is I've replaced this with a Gotek, and I've done another few modifications. I'll just grab the camera and I'll show you these from a different view. Yeah, I'll do that now. Right, hang on. Right, here we are. Right, let's fire it up. The first thing you're probably looking at is that on the back. I'll get to that actually. Well, let's start with a Gotek. Yeah, so this is a Gotek that I was on about. I don't know if you can see there. It's a little bit blurry, the writing, but you know, you can store hundreds and hundreds of floppy disk images on this thumbnail USB drive here. And God, I don't know about you, but this looks, to me, the W30 looks like it's come straight out of Darth Vader's living room. I mean, look at this. It looks like his helmet, doesn't it? You know? It really is a nice piece of gear. To think that it's 30 years old, 30 plus years old now. So yeah, I've got the Gotek in here. Saves loads of aggro. I can transfer files from my other W30 or from the computer if I want to dump images, pre-made images, using the WAV2 W30 software. Right, I'll include a link to that actually. So over here on the back, you probably noticed when I fired it up, we've got the Zulu SCSI hard drive emulator, because back in the day you'd have like a big SCSI drive and maybe a CD-ROM. The trouble with them is, you know, especially the SCSI drive, the old SCSI drives, they wear out, you know, and you just, you know, you just become unreliable. But this, you've got an SD card in the back, and then you put your hard drive imaging on there, and on all the information for this is all on the wonderful Keith Mears, I think that's how you pronounce his surname, his website, llamamusic.com, and all the information for retrofitting the Gotek. You need to put the Motorola SCSI chip inside, because without that chip, this little puppy won't work, right? And yeah, and also the other modification that I've done to this, well, I've done two more actually. So I've got the screen, that's an LCD replacement, because the original, the backlights go. Now, yeah, you can put a backlight in, and they're not dear, 20 quid, you know, off eBay, but you've got the noise of the inverter whining in the background, and I don't know about you, but they drive me mad, you know, high pitched whine. So the thing to do now is to remove the whole screen and put this LCD modern replacement in here, and you can still control the brightness on the back as well, or contrast, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, that's all the information to do that mod, including also all the tack switches on here. These wear out as well. Same with the encoders. I've replaced all these, and I've gone for a slightly more, you know, it requires a bit more pressure to press, but I get more feedback from that, and it just feels like, you know, that it's not going to wear out as quick. Because the other one, the pressure for the original switches, is you know, it's a lot softer. But all this information, as I say, it's all on Keith's website, including all stuff for the other Roland samplers as well. The whole S50 range, 330, etc. It's all on there. It's a really handy website, and I can't thank him enough for the information. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do, I've got a little treat for you, because I use this for mostly making hardcore tunes. I don't use it for anything else. Maybe a bit of ambient, you know, psychedelic music, you know, but mostly it's hardcore jungle stuff. I have made some drum and bass on it, but the trouble is, unlike the Akai, where I can store many more samples and cuts, and then I can like sequence it with either the Atari or a modern DAW. I tend to use this, you know, for minimal kind of stuff, and you know, like, you know, old school hardcore stuff. Now, what I'm going to do is a follow-up series of videos. So the next one, I've got a nice little treat for you. Now, lots of people try to reproduce early Prodigy tunes on these, and you know, the sequencer takes a bit of grips getting used to. If you went, you know, like if you grew up using modern DAWs and stuff, and it's like spoilt, it's too easy. But I like a challenge, and I've been using old gear since the mid 90s, on and off. So I just want to let you know that I'm not into ripping people off, and I'm not trying to copy nobody, and I've got full respect to the original artist, but I've got some tunes in particular, and they're Prodigy tunes, so I want to share with you guys how, you know, I sampled these. Basically, you know, all the samples, they're all on the Prodigy info websites. They're all linking to where the samples came from. And what I've done is I've challenged myself. So let's I'll just give you a little bit of a teaser here, actually. So look. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm going to go into the hard drive. Oh, what's that? Oh, what's that? Yeah. So, you know, the next video is going to be quite interesting. I think you'll enjoy those. Let's have a look. Yeah, so that's just loading up now. One of the first tunes that I've reconstructed, and you know, it's not going to be perfect, but I spent a lot of time listening to the original tune and Charlie, yeah, and basically reconstructing it on here bit by bit. It does take a lot of time and dedication, and if people ask me for the files, I'm going to have to politely say no, because, you know, in respect to Liam, you know, and the group as a general, as I say, I'm not into ripping people off, but this is just purely for, you know, educational purposes and a bit of fun. But it's also to show you guys, don't be afraid of getting into the sequencer on here, because if you put a little bit of time in, it just clicks, you know, and you can get into it. I mean, you know, the whole micro edit thing, you know, it might look a bit alien, but oh yeah, bit of a teaser there. Yeah, so my little treat to you guys out there is going to be a series of videos of some reconstructed songs that I've done, some early Prodigy tunes, some faves of mine. I'm not planning on being a Prodigy cover band, nothing like that at all. I'd rather do my own music as a rule. However, this is a slightly special little side project, and many people have, you know, tried to replicate some of Liam Howlett's early tune on a W30. Now the thing is, you know, you've got a limitation of space on here, and I wanted to challenge myself to see if I could get, say like, do a tune like Charlie, right? And basically put that whole tune all onto the equivalent of one floppy disk image. So there's no external sampler containing any more audio data, right? All the samples are loaded into what the W30 can actually take, you know. We're going to sounds and then going to tones. Right. Let's go down here. So you've got some breakbeat down there, stuff. Charlie sample, hook, main beat, meow, vocal samples, rave sounds, you know, the Hoover. Yeah, it's all in there, right? And some of these samples I got from Prodigy info, but some of them I had to like the sounds, I had to recreate them from scratch on some of my other gear. But that makes it all the more fun. Right, folks, as promised, just want to give you a little teaser ready for the next episode in this series. So as you can see, I've got some Charlie files in here, and I'll just give you a little example.
Barley says, always tell your mummy before you go off somewhere.
Right, so you get the idea. Right, one of the problems that people might run into with recording on the sequencer on this, let's say you're on track 1 and you've recorded a few measures. Now, you might want to add some more. So what happens is you'll lose everything. It just records over everything what you've done. So the way you get around that is you start using loop mode. So if you go in there, look, I'll press record. Right, okay. Now, if you just move that across, right. So we're on loop mode now, and that means that as long as you set your start and end points, it'll record between. That'll give you a loop to work to, and it won't. It might overdub some of the notes, but you won't lose everything that's done. So there's a really handy little feature if you want to be building stuff up and not relying completely on real time. Of course, you need to know where you're at with the measures and that kind of stuff, but as I say, all that comes naturally once you've had a few weeks playing around on this. Another little tip I'll give you is a gate time. It's a very useful tip because once you get acquainted with the numbers, you get to know the lengths of the measures. And for instance, 384 is one measure or one bar. So if you do the maths, then you can multiply it, divide it till your heart's content. It's just something that I worked out myself. Whether other people have, they probably have done. But anyway, there you go. That makes a huge difference. And also where you place a sample at 0 on the clock, you can divide up the numbers of the clocks. And if you make the dividations equal, then you're going to get things in the right place. Okay. Excuse my fingernails. I've been working on the van. Oil and grease gets everywhere. Just something else here to add. You've got 8 channels, 8 MIDI tracks, each pointing towards a part, and each part contains a patch. You assign patch to that part, and that patch contains the samples. Now, this obviously outputs 16 channels on the sequencer. So what I do here is sometimes I'll beef up the drums with the 9 and 9. And also I can send MIDI outs to other synths if I want, or I can send the clock signal. Well, the clock signal's going all the time because I'm using this as a master. So this is the TR8, that's slaving from a W30, and what happens is when I'll create so a pattern on here where I'll mute all the notes, and that'll allow me to enter notes onto a specific channel on there, say channel 16. I tend to use MIDI channel 10 for the internal drums and percussion, for the metronome and maybe a crash and a couple of other bits and pieces. But yeah, mostly beefing stuff up, use that. But on this, on the two little, sorry, on the tunes, on these reproduction tunes, all the samples are all coming from the W30. Okay, but yeah, I just wanted to add that. Something else I just want to add to this introductory video is I've got 8 outputs coming out the back, so all the samples can be evenly distributed onto their own channels straight into this desk, and then I can bring in the EQ. Now, one of the things I've noticed, if I use 15 kilohertz frequency, it gets a bit more muddy. I've had to use say on this Charlie one, it was pretty much all 30 kilohertz, because there ain't that many samples, you can fit it all in. But on some of the other projects, I've had to use 15 kilohertz more. But on this desk, like, you know, if you turn up the mid, that gives it more of a nice crunch, and then you've got this old British low frequency adjustment down here as well, British EQ thing on this Behringer desk. And then also I use the built-in compression on here on each channel, so it just brings it all out more. And then you can pan things, and you can add effects. You know, I just use a little bit of reverb on the stabs, mainly on the stabs, piano riffs, that kind of stuff. Everything else, don't need it. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the next video. So this video, you know, is really a bit of an inspirational video, and you know, I hope this video inspires people to realise that if they play around with a sequencer and get their heads into it, it's not undoable. You know, it just takes a bit of time and commitment. You know, if you put your heart and mind to it, you can achieve anything. And that's how I operate as a rule. And if there's a challenge, then that's good, because I want to exercise my brain. You know, I want to try and do things which may seem impossible at the time. You know, it would be very easy to try to replicate a tune that somebody's done in very high quality, using a DAW or using other Akai rack-mounted samplers to get more information, you know, and beef up quality. But this is a bit of fun, you know. What can we do with just a Roland W30? You know, nothing else, just a W30. That's what this is about. And I'm going to be putting some of my tunes on here soon as well. So if you want to see more of that, give me a thumbs up, because I've got some real banging hardcore tunes that I've made on this W30. Okay. Alright, well, that just about wraps this one up. And if you've got any questions about what I've done here, what I'm doing, please drop a message. Again, there's more information in the description, and links to the to El Llama's website. And yeah, if you've got any sort of suggestions, for this kind of stuff, then yeah, you know, I'm all open ears, because I'm considering doing more of this stuff on my channel, and concentrating on the hardcore stuff and the jungle, and how I use other gear like the Amiga and other samplers that I've got. Yeah, as I say, you know, I'm not claiming any copyright for the little bit of fun that we're doing here, recreating Prodigy tunes. I'm not claiming any rights whatsoever, so anything that may flag up on YouTube sync licensing, that will all go to the rightful owner or record label on anything that I do, if I ever do anything like this again. But as a rule, future videos most likely going to be my own tunes, but this is a little introduction treat, this series. So yeah, anyway, thanks for viewing, having a look, like and share down at the bottom, and subscribe as well, that'll be really handy. And if you've got anything you want to ask, yeah, just drop a message in there and I'll do my best to get back to you guys. Alright, okay, so catch you on the next one. Big love to everybody, take care, see you later.